So you're a fractional AI officer. What for the layman's in us? What's that mean?
It basically means that I work with companies mostly in an advisory consulting capacity. My team sometimes end up doing work with a company, and we're just at this point we're just helping people figure out one, what to do with AI, and then also specifically what they should do with AI, and everything that goes with it: agents, image models, language models, machine learning. It covers essentially the whole breadth and width and depth of what a company should do with AI, because there's a lot you could do, but not everything is worth doing. So often what happens is that it ends up being pretty transformational. They do end up changing a lot inside their business because of AI and everything that's possible. So just trying to help as many as possible navigate that and figure out the best way that they should use all the things that are available.
That's a really important job right about now. So I can see
very
the value
popular.
in it.
A lot of people need help.
They're probably lined up to use you. I can't wait to jump into some of that. But before I do, a little bit about your background. I know you dug into AI like early, like 2016 timeframe is what I've heard, right? But kind of background before that, maybe even.
For sure. Yeah, fortunate enough. So I used to have a marketing agency where we primarily worked with conversion rate optimization and got conversion rates up and all that goes with it. So traffic and conversions and economics. And we were working with that. So I started that business in 2012. And by 2016, we had started working with machine learning, which is like kind of that's the larger scope that AI exists within, is machine learning. We did it in the capacity of prediction forecasting, modeling of data, analytics. Because when you're dealing with conversion rate optimization, you gotta have your metrics tuned in, right? You gotta have them accurate reflections so that you know that what you're testing is actually producing anything of value. So we were working with that. And at the time, in 2016, one of our clients was Amazon. And just to preface that, I do not have Jeff Bezos on speed dial. Like I don't know him, he doesn't know me. I work with one of their hundreds of VPs of marketing at the time, right? So they have a huge company, and I was just one little guy with my team with one of their teams inside the huge organization. And so we were working on conversion rate stuff with them, running experiments and just figuring stuff out. And I had a conversation with a machine learning scientist who worked on their team. And he goes, Sam, basically, the way that these models, machine learning models, predict numbers and do forecasting and all that stuff, he goes, in a few years, you're going to be able to essentially predict words. So what he was talking about were large language models, which were being worked on at the time just in like frontier labs, and it wasn't just wasn't publicly available, and it was very rudimentary and very basic compared to what we have now. And so he said, if I were you, Sam, I would dive into machine learning. I would pursue exploring large language models and how all that works, because in your line of work, marketing specifically, it's going to end up being a pretty big deal, he says to me. And I barely understood what he was talking about because I'm not a machine learning scientist. I don't have a PhD in anything except, the School of Hard Knocks. And so I kind of took him seriously. And so my team and we got into that world more and more in depth and just trying to figure out how do we use data and data analytics with machine learning to just do better work for our clients. And as we were doing that work, we then started getting into the track on large language models in 2018, 2019. And in 2019, GPT-2 existed and was publicly available if you could figure out how to use it and if you knew the right people. And so we started playing with GPT-2 at the time, which was a very basic text model. So you send it a sentence and then you get words back, which now that's just ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other large language models. But at the time, it was pretty basic and you couldn't get much back, right? You gave it a sentence, you got a sentence back, and you had to go back and forth a lot. But we got into it then, GPT-2 then, and then in 2020, GPT-3 was available. And that made a huge difference because now you could get whole paragraphs back as opposed to just sentences. And when that started changing and we started realizing kind of what was going on, and I just knew people, I was fortunate enough to know the right people at the right time who gave me access to some of these models and tools. And they were all telling me, Sam, like, you're a marketer and you do stuff online with a business. You got to get into this more. And so the opportunity presented itself, and I just took the chance to get into it. And here we are. So like kind of the short version of that.
Do you feel you were at the forefront of it, or do you feel you were chasing it?
At the time, I was chasing and trying to keep up with very smart people.
Okay.
Like the scientists and the PhD level researchers who do like in-depth work with models and compute and GPUs and like all of that. I think compared to them, I'm still chasing, but at this point, I think we're mostly on the forefront on the crossover between research being turned into real business value. Like that's the hard part, is really you have all these capabilities, but how does that translate into something that's actually useful inside a business, and even better, something that impacts the bottom line in some way?
It seems to me like we're right at the time now when the rubber's meeting the road as far as businesses getting value out of that. Is that what you're seeing? Because it seemed like a lot of hype for a minute where, I'll go to CEO peer groups and stuff and they'll talk about what they're doing. And I'm not so sure that people were seeing it affect performance, bottom line, you name it. But it seems like we're right at the point now where it really is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, 2020 to 2022, before ChatGPT comes out. So ChatGPT came out in like November of 2022. And right around before that, it was not easy to work with these models. And it took a lot of work to work with them. Like it's not just press a few buttons and then you're good. Like we used, Python notebooks, a whole stack of them, and like thousands of API calls just to get some useful like ad copy back or landing page copy back. And even when ChatGPT comes out and for the next like 2023, 24, I think what happened is people started to see the potential. And a lot of the researchers and frontier labs, they're like, hey, this is transformational. And I think people caught a glimpse of what's possible.
Yeah.
But as you know, like there was and still is just a ton of hype, a lot of promises, a lot of big picture, a lot of, hey, here's all the things you could do. But the difference between a demo and something that exists as a system that works and that's making work easier, life easier, and has an impact, huge gap. And I think in the past year, especially 2025 and into now, we've seen a lot of the hype becoming real. Not all the hype, like there's still too much of it, and there's still a lot of people just speculating. But I do believe, like from what I'm seeing on the ground, the people that I work with, other companies that we know in the space, a lot of the capabilities have caught up to all the potential.
Okay.
Still a lot of it, but it's better. And it's easier now to realize the value and to build something that actually works than it was even this time, like May 2025. You started to see, especially with agents, you start to see, okay, we now have consistency in how the models are performing. Mm-hmm. The models are more capable now. They can handle tools, code, and a wider range of use cases. So I think now it's easier to see and easier to also make it valuable and to make it work than it used to be. The hardest thing is just people coming to us and other people too, and like they have a list of things they've seen demos on and the hype, and they go, we just want this and we want it next week. And it's like, not going to happen.
So interesting you say that, because I went to CES this last year and got to watch some of the robots, for example. And here you hear some talk about like robots are going to be doing all the work in just a few years. And I could tell you those robots seemed like far from ready from prime time, so to speak. Like they could dance, but ask it to go get a white shirt off of the rack over there compared to the black shirt, and 20 minutes later we're still waiting for a shirt. So like I don't know how it's going to take over the world in a couple of years from what I saw. But is for those that are like, it's really polarizing. It seems like some are really afraid of AI, think it could almost end humankind. And then what are your thoughts on that? Is it to be feared, or should we embrace it?
I think, as with all things, moderation and wisdom and understanding, like just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should do something. I think there are aspects of AI systems and agents that could be dangerous and could be a threat in many ways. And the key is as with all technology, I think the key is just not letting the technology dictate what you do, but instead just having a strategic vision, having a purpose, having a good head on your shoulders and a good team around you, and then just working with it in a way where your needs and your preferences and your use cases take the driver's seat, and then AI helps enable it, as opposed to just going, let's just do everything that AI could do. There are risks, there are threats. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say it's all good, but it doesn't have, all the threats don't have to materialize, right? Like, we need smart people, good people who emphasize and really value the human aspect of everything. I think with the right people doing the work, we can see a lot of good potential. There are threats. I don't think the doomers are 100% correct in what they, fear might happen. I think we're at a crossroads. I think how things develop in the next couple of years will determine what we see, obviously, but it'll determine which way we go. I am encouraged that I see a lot of people not rushing into it. There are plenty who do, right? But a lot of people are asking the important questions, which is, okay, we have a team of, let's say, a marketing team of 10 people, and technically speaking, you could replace 8 of them with 2 people that manage 20 agents, and those 2 could do the work of 10. But that doesn't mean that you have to do that. You could instead just enable all 10 of your team members to do good quality work and train them and educate them and make sure they have the right tools available. So just like I said, just because you could fire people because of AI, it doesn't mean you should, and you don't have to fire people because of AI, right? There are ways to make use of the good parts of it and just strengthen people's skill sets, make sure that they're using the right tools for the right job, and get more value. I'd rather see 10 people in a marketing team, for example, use all the available tools and models in a good way, productive way that increases value and just produces results, as opposed to just firing 8, keeping 2, and then hoping for the best.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wonder, though, if most companies are really going to act that way.
Yeah, that's the question, right? I think the easy thing to do is to fix your bottom line is always to cut staff, right? To fire people and to let go of payroll and all of that. I do think that if you do so, I think you'll be, in the long run, I think you'll be at an actual disadvantage if that's your default. But I agree. I think we'll see a lot of companies fire people or just make structural changes in a way that people end up without a job or without purpose or without meaning in their work. Like, they feel like all I do every day is just tell ChatGPT things to do, and then I just sit there and do nothing. Those are the risks, and those are the threats. And I think we'll see a mixed bag over the next few years.
So bringing it back down to just more practical, real life today, how should businesses be practical about it? And if somebody calls you and says, hey, I haven't done anything with AI, I'd love for you to come in and get my business going. What would your process be? What would you look for?
First, I would understand just what are their existing processes? How do they do work now in whatever the team might be? Marketing, sales, back office stuff, like R&D, whatever the team makeup is and what the work is. I would look at how they're doing things now, what processes exist, and often, people think they have SOPs and they have clean processes, and they don't really, but that's okay. We just need to start with, like, how do you do what you do? And then the first thing to do is just, okay, in which ways can different AI systems, agents, models assist and enable you to do that work now, faster, cheaper, better even? And there are a lot of just menial tasks that can be offloaded, like filling out spreadsheets, dealing with spreadsheets, and just documents and all kinds of stuff that people are. A lot of the work that happens, I think, for most people in larger businesses, there's a lot of just busy work, things you have to do because there's no other way to do it. Filling out forms, filling out spreadsheets, dealing with documentation, updating things, and doing low-level, low-hanging fruit work. a lot of that can be offloaded to models or agents now. And so you always start with the low-hanging, the easy stuff, the things that took 5 hours can now just take 30 minutes. You start there to get people familiarized with it, to get them to use the available tools and systems, get them to not be afraid of it or even confused by it. Like, there's no book you can read. You can't study your way to using AI. You really just have to use it with the work that you're doing. I see a lot of people thinking that they have to read books, they have to, understand first how AI works and what's possible, and then they try to fit what they do and connect it with what's possible.
Okay.
And that's not the best way to do it. The best way is to look at what you do any given day, any given week, and then connect the dots between what you're doing and what models and apps and AI tools can do. Start there. So you start from the bottom up. And then while you're doing that and you spend a few weeks just getting people on board and using it, that's when you then have the more bigger picture strategic vision in place. And you start to see, okay, our team of 5 people are producing marketing campaigns, online marketing campaigns that has, ads, emails, maybe landing pages, whatever it might be. Yep. And we're doing it this way now with AI. But what would this work look like if everyone on our marketing team have their own personal AI agent assistant to do work with them? And then what does that enable down the line? Like, eventually you can get to a place, like, technically it's possible to have autonomous agents doing work now, but what they need is access to tools, access to knowledge base, access to data and metrics, and they actually need a human being to keep giving the agents direction, input, feedback, correction, especially. Like, you might have an agent perform a task, create 10 landing pages, but the agent is not going to execute on that task flawlessly out of the gate, is going to make 10 landing pages to the best of its current abilities and to the best that it understands your offer and everything else. But you need the human being to provide edits, corrections, direction, and giving it continuous feedback. And when you have that foundation, that will enable you to do far more things and to a higher quality down the road. But it always starts with your fingers on a keyboard, okay. Talking to Claude, ChatGPT. You got to start there. And before you start going crazy and going, you know what, we're just going to have 50 agents doing all our marketing and, connected to all the things and just press play and hope for the best. That day will come, but not yet.
So interesting, because, in my company, what we kind of looked at first approach is, what about all this administrative stuff that our people hate doing anyway?
Yeah.
So we kind of took that same approach. And then what about the administrative mistakes that happen from just fat fingering on a keyboard or you name it?
Yeah.
So like, how do we prevent mistakes, and how do we do stuff that people don't like doing anyway is like a easy first step for us?
Yeah, and the good thing with these systems, agents and otherwise, you by default there is a log of what they're doing, and you can what you need to make sure of is that you have all the agents and all the things you do just produce a log. Like, no human needs to write down the log. The agents can do that work, and the AI systems can do the work of producing a log of what the agent did, even down to like, how did it, so to speak, quote unquote, reason, and how did the agent or the model decide what to do. Okay. And because that's traceable, you can have visibility into that full flow from beginning to end. It makes it easier to figure out where things went wrong. Often with human beings, like if a person has just knowledge of how to do a task, they're not necessarily self-reflective. They're not necessarily paying attention to how they did what they did. And so a lot of times humans end up doing things, like humans hallucinate as well as models, and humans don't necessarily keep track, like we have imagination. We just imagine that we did something, right? And so what that helps, I think, is that it gives you greater visibility into a task is done. And because of that greater visibility and traceability, it helps the humans on the other end stay in the loop. Like, human in the loop is the phrase that people use for this.
Okay.
It actually, I think it helps people make the changes, make the corrections, and in the long run, the work itself ends up improving. The quality of the work ends up improving because of it.
So Sam, how quickly are you able to make an impact? Because some of the stuff we're working on, I feel like has been long time coming, and from like actually seeing it be helpful, seeing a return on investment, you name it, it seems like it's a big long timeline. How quickly are you on average able to make an impact?
Yeah, depending on the scope and so on, but within 60 days or less,
Really?
There's a measurable metric tracking improvement or impact of some kind that we can trace. Here's the key. We don't do any, like the first thing we do in the beginning, and which I encourage anyone to do, is establish a baseline of what it is that you're doing, the task at hand or the job or the project at hand. Look historically, even if it's a short history, like the past 30 days, establish a baseline metrics or KPIs that you know, like, okay, for this project and this task, our KPIs are XYZ. When we've done a similar thing in the past, our results have been LMNOP, whatever that is. And that's the baseline. And then for the next 30 to 60 days, you need to be rigorous and focused and only have AI do the work that it can do, that is capable of doing, the low-hanging fruit that are connected to the KPIs and the metrics. The mistake a lot of people make is they go, hey, let's just have these models and tools and agents do all kinds of work. But very few take the time to establish the baseline and then every week, every 2 weeks, check in on the process and go, hey, the past 14 days, we had 3 agents do this work. And the work that they did, is it at all affecting our KPIs, our baseline metrics, the foundation that we have, instead of doing things for a few months and then looking back and going, I don't know, did it make a difference? Not sure, can't really tell. You got to establish that baseline first and understand what you're working from. And it's easier then to, after a couple of weeks, go, our agents have been doing, let's say produce all these landing pages, all these emails. A bunch of them have gone out and we're tracking performance.
Okay.
You know what? Like these agents have done work, but we can't tell after 14, 20 days if it's making a difference. Therefore, you got to course correct. Instead of just running to the end and after 4 months, 3 months, hoping that when you look back, you'll see a difference. So regular check-ins, regular measurement of performance, and then course correcting as you go. That's the key.
Okay. Well, it seems to me though, like it's a little bit like just hiring an employee and training them from scratch. So like, if you take the time to train them, there's going to be a period of time where they slow you down.
Yes.
And then there's going to be the period of time when they become really, really helpful to you and you're able to do way more as 2 people than you were as 1. It's just weathering that in between time where it bogs you down. Is that true? Like that's my observation. Like it doesn't help you day one because you got to learn it. You got to see how it can help. You got to fumble through training it. Is that right? That's what I see.
Pretty much, but it's faster for an agent or a team of agents to do so as opposed to a human, only because agents don't sleep, they don't need a break, they don't need to eat, they don't need to do anything. They just do the task that you give it. And there's still going to be, whatever you want to call it, onboarding, like ramp up period with agents. But I think one of the biggest reasons why a lot of companies have a hard time seeing measurable difference and impact in a shorter time frame is you're dealing with 2 things at the same time.
Okay.
People who are new to AI and they don't have a ton of experience with it yet, and they just like there's a skill issue in the sense of like, hey, I'm trying to learn it and do it at the same time, and then these agents are just kind of along for the ride, and you're trying to figure out a way to navigate like what does an agent do, what do I do, what do our team do. So you're dealing with 2 things at the same time, 2 new things, the person or people doing it, and then the AI agents or systems themselves, which need to be integrated and connected with your company knowledge base, company metrics, and all of that stuff. I think as we go along over the next few years, as more and more people are learning how to do it, are figuring out how to do it, that experience will in and of itself shorten the onboarding time. And I think as people are trained and educated on this and they get hired by a company, and if they come with experience working with models and tools and agents already, For them to be ramped up, I think it's going to shorten. I think that time frame is going to go from months to a few weeks. Eventually, my hypothesis, we'll see if I'm right, but I think when you have a person who knows enough about their work and how agents and AI helps with their particular work, they can bring pre-made agents to the company that they're hired by and say, hey, I have this, like, let's say, simple example. I'm an email marketer. I have these 5 email agents that I've used over time the past 6 months at this other company. The template of those agents and the fundamentals of how those agents work, like they're 50% there. All I need to do is spend this first week with my new company to adjust and modify the agent capabilities and skills and templates that I have, connected with my new work role and new access to information, get them all hooked up, connected to each other, make adjustments, and they'll get up to speed in a week or so because they've already bringing not just the experience, but all the prompts that you've written, all the agents that you dealt with, all the experience you've had with AI tools and systems. It's not like you forget it, hopefully, if you go move on to a new job and so on. So I think we'll see that onboarding collapse. We're still in that period, right, where most people don't have enough experience, just time, right? People just haven't dealt with it enough.
So the time's coming when I'm not only going to be hiring the person, but the tool, the workforce they bring with them, I guess, huh? The tools they bring with them.
Imagine if you're hiring an email marketer and then one candidate go, hey, like I have, the past year I work with AI and email. I have a team of 5 email agents that come with me to this new job that you might hire me for. That's a pretty attractive candidate because they come with a tool bag and skill set already that they need to make adjustments, but they're not starting from scratch. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Does that hurt the employer that they left?
Probably not, because, and here's why. Agents and AI systems and tools are universal enough that what makes my team of agents productive and useful is to whatever extent the business that I'm in has given my agents access to data metrics, knowledge bases, and everything else. Like, it's a paradox. Like, agents are both, how can I put it? They're not an unfair advantage in and of themselves.
Okay.
But with them, connected to the right context and the right data and knowledge bases and tool set, they become an unfair advantage because they're like multipliers of work. If you have, 1 times 0 is 0, but 1 times 10 is 10, right? So agents are multipliers that get plugged into a situation of work, and they can multiply the outcome, the effect, and the quality of the work. But in and of themselves, connected to nothing, they're not gonna be productive and effective. So it's this weird paradox where they're great, but in and of themselves, like if I take my agents, it's not like if I work for a company and I have those 5 email agents, if I go move on to another company, the company doesn't lose because it's not like I unplug my agents and then they miss out. Like the company will own that, like it's part of the company IP and company work product that exists. But the templatized version of the agents, the skill set of building agents,
so you're taking the clones with
agents,
you.
You're taking
the other ones are
exactly,
staying
something
behind.
like that.
Okay.
The other ones are staying behind. And so like no one loses really.
Okay.
It's just that the person doing the work can now just be more effective faster.
Except for it could be looking at it like, okay, you worked for me and you built that stuff on my dime, to help my business, and now you're going to go help another business shortcut it. Like it could be looked at like that.
It could, but that's true of any skill. Like if I'm an accountant,
people do it all day, every day, right? Yeah.
People do it all day, every day. Like it's the same with any technology. If I learn how to use an email marketing platform at one job, I can't lobotomize my brain and like remove the experience of working.
Right.
it's
nor would anybody want you to. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, right? Yeah. But with a Neuralink, right? Like
just wipe you clean, like
maybe a couple,
like the Men in Black movie. Like you're gonna forget all this ever happened. Look in the light.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So, look, what I heard then as a user, what you need to be good with it is to know how to prompt it and make sure it's got the right data to feed it.
context, data, connecting it all, and then knowing how to, like, knowing that, let's say you have this log, like we were speaking about earlier, like you have this team of 5 agents, and after a week they've done work, you as a human as well, you need to be able to look at that log and the work they've done and be able to tell, okay, when an agent tried to do this task, like let's say write 10 subject lines, like they got stuck in a loop and they just didn't produce good subject lines. Your skill set as a human is looking at that work, being able to determine whether their work was quality or not, and then figuring out, okay, what do I need to adjust in the configuration of these agents so that they, one, don't get stuck again, and then two, that the work that they do next time is of higher quality. So that whole skill set of being able to look at things being done and going, with my experience and my knowledge as a human being, what I know about my work and what I do, how do I adjust the agents to then do better, not get stuck, and then produce better work?
So if you hire me as an AI beginner and you want to teach me how to prompt better, what do you like? Can you give us a quick lesson or anything that might be practical?
Yeah, the number one thing that I will tell you to do is to practice and study human communication and practice good communication skills.
Which none of us, well, I don't want to say none of us, all of us like suffer with like needing to learn that better.
But that's the key, because the way you adjust, and like we're at the point now where if you know code, it's helpful, but you can make agents and have agents do work without touching code, but you need to be able to communicate clearly and have good human communication skills, because all of that work is happening through natural language. And like all of these companies and labs, they're all working towards a place where anyone can talk to any AI system or agent and things get better. It used to be that you needed to know code and API calling and all these technical things to make it really produce good quality outcomes and work. That's not helpful now, but it's not going to become the required thing anymore. So for you as a human, like the paradox is, as AI advances and becomes more capable, the thing that'll help you learn to use it and use it better is to just become more of a human being, communicate clearly, understand nuances in language, and understand that like it's like having a team of 5 agents is almost like having a team of 5 people. They're not humans, obviously. They don't think like humans. They don't reason the way humans do. But it's kind of like that, where you go, okay, these agents can sometimes, even if you instruct them and you have everything configured correctly and set up, they still veer off the reservation sometimes, and they still do crazy things. But the way then to correct it is to have better instructions, maybe changing some of the configuration and what tools they have access to, and making use of memory and other capabilities. But it's really just clear communication, understanding how to communicate something to another being, another human being, because that language that you use to communicate to human beings is the same language you're using to communicate with agents. They're being made to, for better or for worse, they're being made to emulate human behavior.
Okay.
And so the more human you are in your communication, the better they perform.
That's a great tip, I think. Question for you. I'll go to different CEO like peer groups, and AI is a hot topic now for the past couple of years, and so one peer to another trying to give ideas and suggestions how AI can help the business. And in every one of those groups, there's a number of them that bring in somebody else for AI outside of their CIO or their IT team. Now, I feel like our team is doing pretty good, where I leave there wondering if I'm the exception or if I'm just blind to what we really could be accomplishing if I brought in an outside AI like yourself to do it. Why do companies feel the need to split it, and why are like the normal like CIO group not the ones to lead the AI push?
I think we're still, and who knows how long this period lasts, maybe another couple of years, but we're still at a place where the experience and the knowledge mostly exists outside, and it exists with people who have spent the past, at this point, 5 years, or 3 to 5 years working with it.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, it's helpful maybe to understand some theory around it. It's helpful maybe to read a couple books around it, but it's not a thing that you can study away to learn and do at a high level. And if you were to teach this in college or university level, like after 6 months, everything you just taught is kind of out of date. So it moves so fast and the capabilities are expanding so quickly that you really need someone who's working with it like every day, basically, to understand, like develop that intuitive sense of how this technology works. And like we've had this period now of SaaS and software and tech that most of it has remained almost the same for the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, like code is maybe cleaner and better now. There are more capabilities in terms of just tech outside of AI. But when you look back at the past 10, 15, 20 years, at the end of the day, it's mostly been a change of degree as opposed to a change in kind.
Okay.
AI is a change of kind. It's tech, and a lot of it is similar to what already exists, but it's almost its own unique, separate thing that it's hard to know what's possible, know how to make it valuable to the bottom line, unless you're immersed in it right now. Most people don't have the time. They have their jobs, they have their tasks, and they have the work that they're doing. They don't have another full-time job available to themselves where all they do all day, every day is just figure out AI and work with it. The people that do, like people like me who spent a few years doing this, we just have that advantage of having enough experience and knowledge. But I think given another couple of years, as people learn to do this, like that gap will go away. And so I think right now we're just in that period where you need someone from the outside to come in and help you, come alongside you and help you understand and help you figure this all out.
Okay.
But that becomes institutional knowledge, like as teams work with it, as the CIOs work with it. So it's a part mentality question, part just experience level question, part capability understanding question too. And my guess is that people like me, like there won't be a need for people like me at a large scale in maybe 2 years.
Oh, that quickly,
but at that point, that quickly, yeah, 100%. But in 2 years, my assumption is I'll be doing this, right? So unless I get hit by a bus tomorrow, right? But in 2 years, there'll be other capabilities that are at the forefront that just other people don't have the time to keep up with, right? It's beyond a full-time job to try to keep up with AI as it is. I don't even try anymore. I just have agents do it for me, so.
That's great. Yeah, I would say like it almost seems to me like even if you haven't done anything with AI, like, the phrase pioneering doesn't pay. Like there's a lot of companies that probably spent a lot of money and time trying to be at the forefront and really not gotten ahead of people that much is my bet.
It's a speed thing. So large organizations move slower than smaller organizations just by the virtue of like enough people being involved and maybe you have more decision makers and stakeholders being involved. And so AI is still at the place where speed rewards more than anything else, right? Like
yes.
the more immersed you can be and the faster you can be at adopting it, the more advantage you're at. At the same time, that advantage is only useful if it is applied to other business contexts, right? And other situations and other work that needs to get done. So it's this weird mixture. And the best way that I've understood it is, like I said, maybe I have another 2-year advantage. At the same time, within those 2 years, other capabilities will reveal themselves and become available that the frontier, I think, will keep, I don't know what the word is, like it just keeps getting pushed into the horizon.
Okay.
And unless you go, hey team, you all need to become frontier AI experts, it's just, there's a practicality to it as well. Like I don't think everyone needs to be at the forefront. I don't think everyone needs to keep up. It's not necessary because like the hype and the horizon and the forefront will always be 10 miles ahead, but your job happens now and what you're trying to get done happens now. And you'll only ever be able to use the capabilities that exist now as opposed to the hypotheticals that might come 5 years from now. is this weird like dynamic, I think, between timing, speed, availability of expertise and knowledge, and where that line keeps moving. So it's a fun time to be alive. It's also like exhausting at the same time.
I think so, right? It's a big mix of optimism and fear and all of it all at once.
Thrill and terror. Yeah, all of it.
What about, do you really think, like, I think part of the thing that we have to solve when trying to use it is proprietary information staying proprietary. Do you really think that that's possible? Like, it seems like if you're feeding somebody else's software or AI or whatever you want to call it, all your data, like, is it really safe?
Yes and no, like mostly no. And so, but here's the thing. What we think of as proprietary knowledge and data and everything else actually probably isn't. I think a lot of companies think they have proprietary data or context and information.
That's how I feel. I feel like we don't have the I mean, unless the formula for Coca-Cola is in AI somewhere, like we don't have it. Like there's nothing that secret. And if it is, it's secret for like 10 minutes. Like that's how I feel. But
exactly.
But I don't know if that's reckless or not, like to think that way.
I don't think it is reckless. I think in some industries and for some businesses like Coca-Cola formula, you do have something that is unique and proprietary. Most businesses don't. And here's the, I'm going to try to explain this because I haven't even been able to formulate it clearly to myself. So I'll try to ramble for a minute and keep it short. But the secret and the advantage is no longer in knowledge. For a long time, it's been if you know something that the rest of the market doesn't know or your competitors don't know, then you've had an advantage.
Okay, this is getting good.
That's no longer true. There's no longer an unfair advantage in information that you may or may not have.
Okay.
Unless like we're talking a patent or something that is very uniquely, right?
Or an
like
insider stock tip or something maybe.
Insider stock tip, right? Like that still has value, especially in prediction markets. But anyway, but most people think that, okay, our business knows how to do the work that we do, whether it's a product or a service. And so they think that the knowledge somehow is the unique thing.
Okay.
Maybe it was for a time, but that time is long gone. Like, I'll give an example. Some of the work that we do is for other companies is helping them build competitor monitoring systems and intelligence systems that collects information about open source, stuff that their competitors are doing. And when you give a model enough context about a competitor, which also includes you, but for a competitor, the models and the systems can reverse engineer most of what they're doing to the point where even if they had some secret knowledge, a sufficiently configured agent team or AI model system can reverse engineer whatever it is that they might be doing behind closed doors, right? And so that being the case, I think the companies that'll, capture an outsized market share in their market are the ones that go, you know what? We probably don't have enough proprietary secret knowledge. We probably never had it, but the key now is how do we utilize AI systems and models to do the one thing that'll matter the most? There are two things left, distribution and capital. You need to focus your energies and tasks and work that you do on ideally both, but distribution especially, which is just another word for market share.
Okay.
So I recommend all the companies I work with, like, don't worry, like unless you really have something super secret, which very few do, but don't worry too much about sharing your data and your context with these models. They could reverse engineer it if they wanted to, so you're not doing anyone, like the only one you're hurting necessarily is yourself, probably because you're slowing down on your execution speed.
Okay.
And instead focus on how much distribution can we capture, how much market share can we capture as fast as possible, and what's the best use of our capital deployment and how we invest in what we're doing. Because the two things that are going to matter the most for that, at least the next 5 years, is distribution and capital, as opposed to knowledge, as opposed to secrets that you may actually never had. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I appreciate how you explained it, because that basically is saying a lot of times we worry about the wrong thing. Imagine that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
We hallucinate, right?
Curious on your thoughts on where should kids be on this? Like in school, like where should they be using it? Should they not? Like, I just don't know. Like, I have young kids.
Yeah.
My daughter's about to turn 7. My son is 9. I've seen where there's schools now that at their age start to push, like, not the normal public school system, but there's a handful of private schools out there that are like specializing in this stuff. Is that what kids should be doing now?
I think if you use the right way, it can be an excellent educator, tutoring assistant in so many subjects. Like, man, I'll tell you a secret that now becomes public. I'm awful at math, like terrible at math. All throughout high school, like I struggle with math just beyond what was.
I love math. I can't spell, but got it.
Yeah. Right. So like math to me was like my nemesis. Like I just could, for the life of me, no matter how much time I spent and people try to help me, be awful at math. But I started using ChatGPT and Claude to help me relearn math basically the past few years.
Really?
And now I'm like, I wish I could go back in time and do math with an AI tutor because I would have probably aced it. I'm not trying to like brag or anything, but now like I finally understand math.
Really?
I can finally do math. I can like it's
so
been,
it didn't do it for you. It
it
helped you learn how to do it.
It helped
Really?
me. Exactly. I use it as a tutor to help explain things and to quiz me back. Like instead of me prompting it, I made it prompt me instead, right? And like so, using it as a tutor and an educator to help explain concepts, to help me understand, to give me quizzes, to give me examples to look at, to give me tasks, and to give me homework. Like finally, I understand math at a decent enough level. I think that's a key. I do want to stress, I think it's like this, another paradox, like the more in the world physical things you do, I think as a kid and growing up, even for adults, but as with the question about kids, get them involved in the real world, hardware, hard touch, like get them to plant a garden. Like if you have that available to you to do, show them how to fix a flat tire, get them involved in the physical world and doing things in quote unquote reality as much as possible while using AI in a tutoring kind of a way. I think that's the key. It's the danger is when all of our attention and all the things that we care about only exist on a screen on the internet. Like there's good things about the internet and there are bad things about the internet. Yeah. I think the key is like, don't let it consume you. Like, don't let your 10 hours a day watching Netflix or YouTube. Give yourself limits and like spend as much time outside and with other people, talking to people, doing things with your hands and trying things. Take dance lessons. Like I can't dance worth anything, but I want to do the bodily things, being physically engaged in the world. I think that's key. And people that I speak with, and there are, in Texas, like there's the Alpha School that have every kid has basically an AI tutor that comes alongside them.
That's one of the ones I was talking about. Yes.
Yeah. And the kids who do that in that way, like they're excelling, like they're learning faster. They're some of them are jumping grade levels because they're learning in a way that works for them, while they also have a huge focus on the physical in-person stuff as well. So they're not sacrificing that, like they're emphasizing it.
So can I pry, Sam, do you have kids?
I do not have kids. No.
If you did, then hypothetical, it's a big hypothetical. Would you tell them to use AI, or what if the school says no AI? Would you tell the kids, I want you to use AI, just don't get caught? Or would you tell them to not use it? What would you do?
I would tell them to use it, and I would make sure that they're using it in a way that it acts as a tutor and not as an outsourced way of having the AI think for them. And I would probably like have limits to how long screen time. I'm sure every parent struggles with it. Like my siblings who have kids, like that's a struggle for them. It's monitoring screen time and everything else. So my older brother, he has 4 kids. The first one is a teenager now. And so he's using ChatGPT, but he's doing it in a tutoring way, and he's only using it for a couple hours a day, and he's not using it to like do my homework for me. I'm sure maybe on his own he's using it to cheat on maybe homework, but at the same time, like I don't think the answer is, for someone who does not have kids, so take this with a grain of salt, right? I don't think the answer is don't let them touch it and just keep it away from them. I don't think that's the key. I think better use, healthy use of any technology, I think is a better way to steer your kids, as opposed to going, don't ever touch it, like don't never use it for anything. I think my theory as someone without kids is maybe it's better to teach them good habits, healthy habits around technology than it is to just prohibit them completely. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you got to be able to. It's crazy not to learn how to use tools that are available.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to hinder their learning ability. I want it to. I love the way you described it. To use it as a tutor, I want to accelerate their learning ability, not make it to where we all get dumb because all we got to do is have the computer do it all for us, like that. Because you want to learn thinking ability and pattern recognition and things like that, like that'll help you in life.
Yes, and like I don't like on the one side of this debate, you have people going, AI is going to replace all the jobs, and maybe not plumbers yet because they deal with the physical world,
right?
And maybe eventually humanoids will do it. Like I don't believe that we're going to go to that extreme. Because at the end of the day, humans are humans and we work at human speed. Like even though the AI capabilities are far above and beyond what most people realize, still people go to work today and they are in an office or wherever they are and they still do work, right? And so the way that humans adapt and adopt to technology is always slower than the speed of technology. And we live in a world of humans. And unless this is the Matrix and we're all in a pod somewhere, like the reality is that the world runs as a human system, and the only way to remove humans from the system is to just eliminate all humans. And I don't think we'll get there. I don't think that'll happen. I think we'll find it'll be a mixed bag. There'll be a lot of bad stuff. There'll also be a lot of good stuff. And it's just going to be a mixed bag of experiences as we figure out how to live with this and how to work with it.
Do you think that I can exist and not touch it? Is there a group where at my age I got this far without it, I'll be just fine? Do you think that that's a dangerous mindset to have?
I don't.
Okay.
I think
that's interesting.
I think you can't. I think sure. Like, can you exist in the world without a cell phone? You could, but it's hard, right? And I think with AI as well, there may be situations where it's impossible to ignore it. And, there will always be, I'm sure, an AI somewhere. Like Chick-fil-A, like they have an AI taking order, right? So if you want to eat Chick-fil-A, you're going to have to talk to an AI agent.
So it's around you all the time, but yeah.
It's around you. But I do think that it's possible to go, you know what? And there are some CEOs that I work with who are, in the late 50s and they're eyeing up retirement, and other VPs and so on. They're like, you know what, I'm 60, I'm getting close to like my retirement and so on. I just don't want to do it, and I don't want to have to learn something new again. And I always tell them that's a perfectly viable position to take, and you don't have to. You just got to make sure that the people who are younger than you and are on your team like actually work with it, right? And don't cut it off from everyone else. But I don't think that AI is going to be so required that you can't live life or have things to do or get paid to do anything if you don't want to. Like I hear people say that, and people going, it's going to be so ubiquitous and it's going to be so demanded and required that like you're tough luck, like you're not going to be able to function without it. I don't think that's true. I think that there'll be jobs and things to do that won't require you to use it. And when it comes down to it, people want to interact with other people. People want to have human connection and human relations and human interaction. That's a fundamental part of our biology. Like you can't just delete it just because AI came onto the scene. It'll look different. It'll be a bit different maybe than the past 50, 100 years have been. But I want to stress, like, life does not have to be dictated by AI. The thing about AI that blows my mind, and it's the reason why I'm excited about it, finally, for the first time in, I don't know, 100 years, 150 years, AI can help us do technology on our own terms.
Okay, interesting.
It's always been that we had to sit at a keyboard, look at a screen, and do things according to the requirements of technology. Like technology has dictated to us for the longest time how we do what we do. But I'm like right now, you can, with some elbow grease and work, you can have agents do things for you on your behalf on the internet that enables you to log off and just not touch it. And you check in with your agents once a day to see if they've done what you tasked them to do. It's going to be possible. It's already possible in a small scale, but as capabilities grow, it's going to be possible that if you don't want to be on the internet, you don't have to be.
Interesting.
Your agents can send you an email every day with an update, and you reply back and say yes, no, and change this. And agents can work on your behalf online. Like, the internet was not made for human beings. It's not a human environment.
Well, I can see
it was
that's
made
pretty
for
cool.
technology.
So you can go and ask it to tell you, give you an update on the things you know, and then you don't go down the bunny trail of bunny holes because of something that popped up that you want to chase, huh? Save a lot of screen time that way.
The more
tell me what I need to know without
AI,
me chasing something I don't need to know.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's
or the clickbait, get past the clickbait.
Right. And like FOMO and we have this, people think that if I know more and have more knowledge, then things are better. And that's not true. Like what we know about how models are trained and how agents work, the more narrow you keep an agent, the better it performs. If you give it access to everything there is and all the knowledge and all the context and all the things that it could do, it goes off the rails. You need to keep it focused, and you need to focus its attention on just a narrow band of things to do. Same thing for us. Like the more I use AI and agents, my ultimate thing that I'm working towards, which I'm getting closer to, is like I want to be able to, on a Monday morning, tell my agents to do things for the next 2 weeks. I close my laptops. I don't touch the internet for 2 weeks, and they just do stuff for me, and it works.
Huh. You have to keep me posted on that.
I will. The longest I've had them do work now is like 4 days without running into issues.
Really?
So
You're
technically, I can have agents do things for me for 3-4 days. I could close my laptop and just say, I'm out. And I don't know, go talk to my friends, go hang out with my wife, go do things, and then come back after 4 days and they've done stuff. Sometimes they run into issues and like they get stuck or whatever. But that's now in May of 2026. This thing is not slowing down, right? Like capabilities are getting more robust by the week. And we're going to get to the point where they can work on their own on a specific set of tasks for days on end. And if you don't want to be involved, you don't have to be involved.
But you made me feel a lot less scared of it and a lot better about it in this short conversation.
It's all choices. Yeah. We have the choice to, early on, we talked about which way is it going to go. If we make the decisions for ourselves, and like I can't control the world, I can't influence what Anthropic does or OpenAI, but I can influence and make choices about how I use it, how my family uses it, how my friends and my employees use it. And I'm focused on that little world because I can do right. And I'm hoping to steer it that direction.
Just like any tool, though, people will use it for bad, and that does worry 100%. Me because can the good outrun the bad is what that seems to be a game of, probably.
Yeah, and that's an open question, and I'm hoping to influence people to make the right choices. You know.
So, kind of out of time here, but quick couple questions. What AI tools do you like the best for what nowadays? Because it seems like that changes too as to who's in the lead and who's better. But maybe just some quick tips as to which AI to use for what.
Yeah, so I'm laser focused on agents. And for agents, there are a number of agent frameworks that you can use. Two of my favorites are Paperclip and OpenClaw.
Okay.
And these are like agent frameworks you can find on GitHub, so they're free. I use Paperclip the most. It's an agent orchestrator system that enables you to create as many agents as you need for whatever task there is, and you can have them do things. In terms of models, I've become a big fan of Claude models, so Opus. At this point, it's 4.7, I think is the latest one. Opus and Sonnet, because they're Anthropic and Claude have been focused on the business side of things, whereas ChatGPT for a long time were focused on the consumer side of AI, right? So they kind of focus in that way. ChatGPT models are still very good. Codex, the model Codex as opposed to GPT models, but the Codex model we use all the time in my business, and that's more for like developing, coding, analysis, and dealing with complex information and getting stuff done with that. So Codex models and Opus models. And like the way we work is most AI platforms that you see out there, they all use the same models underneath the hood, right? They all use Opus or Sonnet or Codex or GPT or any of the other image models. Like most of them are just layers on top of the core models. So at the end of the day, if you use a particular software or app, that's really a preference question because the models underneath are the same and all these other platforms use the same models. They just give you a different interface to do it. But I would like Opus for me is an excellent thinking partner if you use it as one, like to help you reason and to use it as a collaborative engagement. Opus is great, Codex is great. And for agents, Paperclip and OpenClaw is what we mostly focus on. But there are so many, like, if you don't want to deal with code, you don't have to. There are things like Gumloop, Lindy, and a bunch of other platforms that give you the agent capabilities that all you do is click buttons and set it up. You don't have to touch code. So a lot of our clients, they use something like Gumloop or N8N to orchestrate and deal with agents without touching code.
All right. Thanks for those suggestions. How can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
LinkedIn, if you search Sam Woods AI, then I'm probably one of the first to show up, and I'll provide a link for that. But also my company is Daring Robot, daringrobot.com. We do our own projects, and it's like a boutique applied AI studio where we do a lot of research, exploration into agents, mostly for our own stuff, but every now and then we work with clients and we do things like training, education, consulting, advisory, and also if there's need for it, we also build out agent systems as well.
Love it. Thank you so much. So I got a closing question we always ask everybody. We're all about championing people here. And so before we let you go, who's someone in your life, given the platform like you are now, that you would like to champion and why?
My wife. She deals with the pipelines of data that make all the other AI systems work. Really? And so without people like her, so data engineers and so on, without them, there ain't no model that's going to do the work for you. So the infrastructure, the deep underground pipelines of data is not sexy, is not exciting, but it is the work that is required and that actually makes AI do anything useful inside a business. So my wife and people like her who do that plumbing.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for spending the time, Sam. I enjoyed this very much.
Thanks for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you want more PodCrash in your life, which of course you do, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Catch you next time.